So I'm going to show you how I trade gold personally. I have gone back and forth between strategies before. This is how I trade gold now and what has helped me the most and have the best the best win reward versus loss ratio. I found now that I trade around 8 a.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Eastern. That's about the time that I start to look for trades. It's been looking lately as it's been about 8:45-ish Eastern that I start to actually see um stuff develop. So what I do is basically going to the basics, strict basics, support resistance, trend lines, looking at your candlesticks, seeing those rejections. These are the times that I've seen that gold respects zones. Gold does correct price action, just like anything in the market. You can have your correct textbook price action going on. However, it just does something completely different. Maybe news comes out, or maybe something pushes the candle to break through resistance really quickly and then goes back the way that you plan for it to go in the first place, but it took you out. We've always all been there, all done that. So I'm just gonna get right into it and show you how I trade gold personally. So this is the trade I actually just took tonight. It was a quick in and out trade, about 13 minutes. So what I looked for when I got on this is the 1 minute chart. As soon as I opened the chart, I seen this big push here, right? So whenever there's a big push in the market, it's gonna retrace at some point. It may not have been right then, but it will keep pushing, keep pushing. Eventually you will start to see price consolidate. Okay, this consolidation zone was a notifier for me. So I don't think I actually entered right there because I put this on here after the fact. I think it was about here where I actually got in and got out. So price started to consolidate right here, right? So this is a resistance zone where price keeps rejecting this area. That is telling me that buyers are exhausted, right? So they had this big push up. Now it's starting to consolidate. We're creating a resistance zone. Price keeps pushing down from this area. So now sellers are starting to come in. So I see this support area right here on the 1 minute where price came to twice and push back up, right? So this is where we have our consolidation. We got sellers pushing down, buyers pushing up, sellers pushing down, buyers pushing up. This tells me that buyers are exhausted, sellers are trying to push it down, right? So I want to see a break of this zone before I enter my sell, right? So when we had this candle right here, this doji candle, this green doji candle right here, that told me that the buyers are done, right? So I was looking as soon as I seen it hit the bottom of this zone, sell, right? Put my stops above the last high. I think I had 41.28-ish, something like that, where I had my stop loss. And then I took it down for a 4 versus 5. So what I do personally is I trade one trade during New York, well, early morning, but right before New York open. Um, and then I trade one trade during Asia. And each session I go for $500, right? Some people go for $200. Some people go for $300. Some people just go for a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. So like that would have looked like this right here, right? So risk five, make five. That's a 1-to-1, right? Um, I risk $100 less than I want to make. So, excuse me, I risk 400 to make 500. That's just personally what I do. Um, you can do however you like to do your risk reward ratio, but I always say do not risk more than 1% of your account. Okay, so this is my 50K uh funded account that I have right here. I would say I probably very rarely risk the full 1%, 500. So yeah, I'll do the 400 risk to make 500. I just like to make 500 per session. So that's what I did for that trade. So what you can also see here is how we got this trend line that we're able to form, right? So price keeps rejecting here. This is a very good support trend line that we have here. Price breaks through this trend line with a solid close, meaning there's no wick, like you see here. If price breaks through this trend line with a solid close below this trend line, we are going further. And that's just normal price action, right? So price is respecting this trend line as of now. So this is the 5-minute time frame. You could check this trend line on the 1-minute time frame, go into your lower time frame, and see if price is rejecting, right? So if you get a 1-minute candle close with a nice strong rejection, that will be a key for you to enter a buy, right? So it's coming down right now. So I would say I would enter my stop loss below this zone. So you can see here, you have support. Every time price comes to this zone, it's rejecting, right? Buy, 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 buy. So if I wanted to enter off of a trend line rejection, I would just be safe and have my stop loss below this zone, right? So, and I go for a 4 to 5. So that's about a 1.3 RR. So it'd be very quick, a very quick in and out. I'm talking about super quick. Um, but you want to see the rejection, right? So you'll have a wick. So maybe the candle will be here by then. Have a nice quick 1 to 3, 1 to 1.3-ish. But that is if you see a rejection off here. You might not see a rejection off here, right? So price may go ahead and start to decide to break through this trend line and continue its way down. In that case, you would not enter automatically, right? So there's always fake outs in the market. There's always fake outs. So what I want to see, where's my path? What I want to see is a nice solid break below our support as well. Retest either the trend line or this zone and then continue back down. So if I wanted to enter a sell here, I would wait for the retest probably at the zone, not the trend line. And wherever that last lower high is that's going to form on the 1 minute, I put my stop loss above that and take it for that same RR every time. I'm not trying to overdo it. I would take it for that same RR, go down to the 1 minute. You would be looking for your lower high, wherever that forms, put your stop loss above that, and that's just how you do it, right? So we can go back to a trade I took this morning during the morning session, right? So here we have, I got out a little too early, so it is a 1.03. However, same concept here, right? So this is the 5-minute time frame. When I opened the chart, we was right here consolidating. Like I said, around these 2 times is where I see gold does about the same thing, right? So we had this big bull push. Price starts to get exhausted. We got buyers coming in, sellers coming in, buyers coming in, sellers coming in, right? We also had this zone that we just broke, right? So here we had our breaker structure, right? So we had a resistance zone here. Price came to this zone, came down, came up again, consolidated, came down. So this is a resistance zone. So we had this big bullish push up and we seen it break. However, it got exhausted, right? So buyers couldn't hold on. They were able to break structure, but they could not hold on to continue to push it further. So we had this consolidation going, just like the trade that we had tonight. And we see this push up and this nice wick down where sellers came in. It's the 5-minute time frame. Let's go down to the 1 minute and see how that looks, right? So you have a lot of consolidation going on in the 1-minute time frame, right? If you're new to trading, you looked at this, you'd be like, I don't know which way it's going to go. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? There's no real way to know, okay? No strategy is 100%. This is what I found works best for me. This is what has made me profitable. So this strong push up where buyers are starting to get exhausted. We got this nice strong wick down here telling me sellers are gaining momentum, followed by a nice red candle going down. We're still kind of, consolidating here. We were able to break a little zone a little bit, right? But it did not immediately, right? So if it was sold here, it would have came all the way back up, right? So, excuse me, we had this right here is what told me to get in for the sell. Okay. I know personally this means buyers are exhausted. We had a strong push, buyers are exhausted. So here we're going to go ahead and enter our sell. We had a nice little break of structure, change of character here. It wasn't able to continue, but it did not make another higher high until here. It did break, but you can see it did create almost wicked out, but it did create some resistance. Okay, this is nice resistance level here, letting me know, okay, we are able to get in our sell. Okay, so we're in our sell. We went in for that nice 1-to-1 and was able to take profit there. So now we can go back. I don't know if I marked on here or trading view for yesterday. I think I marked on trading view. Uh, let's see. So that was this morning. I did share this visual. Let's see what we got. So I did not mark on here either yesterday, but you can see just about what I did for yesterday's trade, right? So this is the 5-minute time frame. We can clearly see we got lower highs, I'm sorry, higher highs and higher lows. So higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Oh, it's not gonna let me keep going with the path. All right, so I see this. These higher lows are creating a nice, strong trend line, right? No trend line is perfect. Sometimes it's going to break down below it, but for the most part, it is respecting this trend line. So for me, I'm going to go down to the 1-minute time frame and see when are we going to break this trend line? When are we going to break this trend that we're in, right? So price is pretty much respecting this trend line. Let me clear this up. So pretty much respecting this trend line. I see that's going on. Here we have our break of our trend line, right? And like I said, you don't want to enter directly on a break. You want to wait for a retest to come back up to continue down. So we had this break. We had a retest come up just this general area, creating some resistance. You can see here, price created a great deal of resistance in this area, right? So this is telling me, okay, sellers are now in charge. We come here, we have lower highs that are respecting a trend line, right? I think about the time I opened my chart, it was about this area, like right going up to this trend line, where this little break is. But I seen all of this when I went on my chart. So it was probably about right here. So this is what I saw. So I seen this, I seen the break, I seen the sellers coming in, this resistance area that was happening, and then another trend line forming with lower highs and lower lows. So that told me, okay, I want to enter a sell, right? Because the buyers are exhausted now. We already switched, change of character, break structure. There was a break here, right? However, I think I entered around this area, pretty close to the trend line. So I think I entered probably about here. My stops are always above the last high, right? So this is our last lower high here. Going for that same R, about 1.33, somewhere like that. And boom, perfect trade, right? So with gold, I do trend lines, support and resistance, simple around the same time of day. If I try to do this at some other time of day, it usually does not work. These are the times that I found it's best for me with entering a trade, right? So we can go to back again, just to see another previous trade. This, I'm not sure what this trade is because this isn't even marked up correctly. It doesn't even have an entry here. All right, so let's go here. Let's just find a random time. So here's about the time where I trade around 8 a.m. So we have this nice big bullish push. It was probably a news candle, right? So this is around where we see that they are getting exhausted, right? This is the 5-minute time frame. Same thing. We had a big push. Now we see the buyers are exhausted. We have consolidation, right? We have consolidation. I want to see something to tell me to sell, right? We're going to break this support zone and we're going to enter when we get this break. Stop loss above the last high, which is this last resistance area. I'm just going to mark it for you. And then we had that support we were looking to break. And that's where we entered. Looking for that same 1 to 3, right? So price, you want price to go back and fill this gap, right? This is a huge gap. We had a consolidation. We had the sellers coming in. We're creating some resistance. We were able to break through a support zone. However, if you keep going, this trade was a loss. Gold did decide to push up. Like I said, no strategy is 100%, okay? But I'm going to follow my strategy and do the same thing every single time. No matter if I had 2 or 3 or 4 losses in a row, I'm still going to stick to my strategy because I'm still profitable in the end, okay? That's just what works for me. So over here, this is just some scalping trades that I did. This was a follow-up trade that I should not have taken, not sticking to my strategy. Like I said, I do one trade in the evening, one trade in the morning. This was my one evening trade, and here I go risking what I already made and losing it, right? So this is around 8 p.m. Like I said, that's when I like to enter. We have the same exact thing going on. We have our strong push up with the buyers. We had consolidation going on right here, and then our strong push down, right? Same thing every time. It's that simple. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Just a small recap. I know I just keep repeating myself, but it's literally that simple, and that's literally how I trade. Okay, so any questions, reach out to me. We can look at this right here that I said we were looking for, right? So the trend line, we did break through the trend line, but we did reject our zone, right? So price kept rejecting this zone again. This would have been a nice sniper buy right here. This nice, both of these candles pushing up like that would have been a nice buy. So that would have been an enter probably on this next bullish candle. Again, stops below our support zone. This is a very strong support zone. Going for that 1 to 1.33. Boom. Nice trade right there. Man, I didn't take it, but I like to stick to my strategy. I've done my one trade for the night. Usually I trade again, trying to be greedy, and a profit is gone. So, but if you would have seen this, say you didn't take that, I didn't take this trade that I did take due to maybe being busy and I just got on a little later and I seen this is the trade that I would have taken due to this strong support zone here. So, yep, support and resistance, trend lines, knowing when the market is exhausted. Okay, that's the big thing with gold. Knowing when gold is exhausted. Gold is known for big pushes up, big pushes down. So when it comes to taking these gold trades, it is good to make sure you look at your support and resistance levels and just go in from there.